pleasure to meet all of you. Look forward to being part of this group going forward. I've known Michael for many years, and we've done several deals, ventures, alliances together over the years. So I, as I said earlier, I have worked in the pharmaceutical marketing industry for essentially forever, specifically focused on digital media, starting when I was at the Gray Healthcare Group in the 90s, figuring out this interweb thing, and just evolving over the years. As we were touching on earlier, it's very interesting in that it's a highly regulated industry, but with the breakneck pace of digital tactics evolving, and the FDA, who regulates pharmaceutical marketing, not so quick, it's always challenging to push the envelope for clients and stay within regulatory compliance. So, I'm going to take you through. So I am a consultant. I work with Silverlight Digital, which is a digital media agency focused on the pharma space. They're one of my clients. I spend probably about half my time with them. So I'm focusing on them. Thought they were the most relevant for the purposes of today, but I do manage a couple of pharma clients independently, one of which I share with one of Michael's contacts. But what I'm going to try to do in a very short amount of time is cover off on introducing you to Silverlight. And if you want to know more, of course, let me know. But much more than just talking about them and just talking about one company, talk about my industry, particularly what's happened during the current health crisis. So Silverlight Digital, it's a little agency, about 20 people, a lot of freelance help, so that varies, formed by industry media veteran, background from Razorfish and Traffic, Lori Goldberg. That's where you can see on the right side that it's a certified women-owned business. She is the sole owner. A lot of focus on pharmaceutical brands, specifically rare disease, smaller brands. It's a small agency, so it's very nimble. All of us working there are industry veterans. I've been at Omnicom, I've been at Interpublic, and as I said, I started the Gray Healthcare Group. Whole range of pharma clients there. So that's the quick overview of Silverlight Digital. So what I want to talk today about specifically that I think would be most interesting this group is, you can see the title of this, or the title somewhere, is NPP, non-personal promotion, okay? So what that means in my pharma marketing world is you're supporting the sales force. The biggest expense of any pharmaceutical company, their marketing expense, is their sales force. Guys who are going out and carrying a bag, calling on doctors. So we either do non-personal promotion, falls into two broad categories. One is supporting the sales force, so showing ads to doctors that they've called on and reinforcing their message, or what's called white space promotion. And that's showing ads to doctors who they're not calling on for whatever reason, whether they're in a remote area or they just don't have the coverage or whatever the reason they're not called on. They're not big prescribers of the product category, but we still want to get our message in front of them. So there's this whole range of promotion to doctors. So how do doctors behave online? They do research at the top. They start to learn more. Down towards the bottom is where it starts to get really interesting in my world, because they're evaluating a specific patient, recommending a treatment, and down at the bottom, writing a prescription, making the sale. Can be tough to measure. None of these sales are transacted online, of course, and you're usually several steps away from the promotion, but that is the field. So what happened in the last few months, specifically as we moved into the second quarter of this year, was the health crisis. And I got a raft of phone calls for people asking me about, what am I going to do now that my two most important expenditures have basically dropped to zero? No one's seeing any salespeople. Doctors aren't even going to work, much less taking sales calls from anybody. So that biggest line item on their marketing budget just became valueless. And the second thing they do is, how do they educate everybody about pharma products? They bring them all together at big conferences. lots of people all crowded together in the same hotel. That went to zero immediately as well. Every single conference in 2020 is obviously canceled. Ton of unraveling in my business when that happened, but that's another story. So the challenge became, how are we going to talk to healthcare professionals in this post-pandemic world where the two biggest ways we talk to them are basically wiped out? And I should mention, everyone's familiar with consumer advertising and the things you see on TV. I'm focused on the healthcare professional advertising today. There is a consumer aspect of that. It is smaller than the healthcare professional. The bulk of pharma marketing is still talking to the doctors, despite what we see as lay people, what we see on our TVs and magazines, which is consumer advertising. So, real quickly, how do we reach the healthcare professional? Here's just a strategic overview: digital channels and what do HCPs do? Contextual, so just advertising and content. Print, specialty journals, great targeted media. They tend to be a lot of print. They don't get a lot of traffic to their websites, so they're pretty old school. They are the most trusted resource of information for doctors. And then Dr. Google, number 2 there, has swung in there as a very, very close second. Data targeting, so there are a number of providers. There are no privacy issues when I'm reaching doctors because I'm not talking about their health. So any prescribing habits, your specialty, geography, we can pull the actual physician ID numbers and upload a bespoke custom list of your target professional audience into a trading desk, into any trading desk, and target them specifically. We can audience target on a one-to-one basis, and we can report on a one-to-one basis. So this can be really valuable. I can play it back to the sales force and say, here's the list of your targets. Here's how many of them were exposed to our ads in the last 30 days. So that's data targeting. I'm going to show you a couple of interesting examples at the end. Native advertising for physicians is becoming a thing. Putting content in context. It's ads disguising themselves as articles. Social for doctors, there are a couple of platforms out there. I'm personally not a huge fan. They purport to drive deeper engagement among physicians. What I find on the social platforms is the physicians who are really engaging on those platforms are there because they're being paid by pharmaceutical companies to engage on those platforms. So you're not exactly reaching your audience, but they are out there. And then down at the bottom, prescribing information, and I'm going to show you a graphic of what some of all of these tools are. So these are the tools doctors actually use, usually on their iPhones, to look up drugs. So if I can place ads there, I know what drug you're looking up, and I know it's between the hours of 8 and 6, so you're with probably a patient in your office. So very strong opportunity to convert you at the point of sale, and other decision tools that are used along the way. So here's what that looks like. There's our doctor. Starting up at the top left, contextual targeting, Helio, TrendMD, that's that network, the native network that I will show you an example of. Search targeting through Google, MedData Group's one of those providers that will actually give us that bespoke list. Getting down into things like eHealthcare Solutions and Surmo, those are more interactive things. And then as we move around the bottom, drugs.com and Hippocrates, which is, Hippocrates is the top mobile app that's used by doctors, actually looking up drugs. So again, frequently with a patient. And then I'll show you an example of Medscape, which is the doctor's information site, but it's a lot more than that. That's really the 800-pound gorilla of all of these and the biggest research tool. So with all of these things going on, what we have learned to do on the HCP thing is something consumer advertisers have known how to do for a long time, which is how do you put all of these different touch points with the doctor under one roof and manage it? How do you manage bids across multiple campaigns to control auction prices? I can't tell you how many times I see you have a consumer campaign, a healthcare professional campaign, and a branded campaign, an unbranded campaign, and they're all managed separately. So you're basically bidding against yourself. That may be great for Google, but it's not good for you. You have to look at it holistically and make sure that there's a waterfall of bids so that you're not just bidding yourself out, whether it's on search or display. You have to establish priorities, manage search term overlap issues, but optimize the budget. There are so many channels and so many of them are done, so many of them are unrelated to each other. So it's really our job to manage that, making sure messaging is consistent. We talked earlier about the legal issues with pharma marketing. As I said at the top of this discussion, Google's my biggest problem. They change their regulatory issues constantly. I had one client that Google just decided, like, the terms gene therapy were controversial, and so all ads for gene therapy were rejected. We weren't allowed to run gene therapy ads. At the time, I had $40,000 in Google spend running on gene therapy ads, so that caused a bit of an issue. We're in with Google. I probably talk to them 2 times a week, just talking through these things. They can be dealt with. They do listen to reason, and then on through the bottom there, just talking about that process of dealing with Google. So I want to make sure I get through all of these and show you a couple of examples at the end through this. So a lot of this is all executed through over the years. I think maybe about 2013, 14, we started being able to really use trading desks, biddable media for pharma. Up until then, they'd been quite terrified of anything programmatic. Now, as I was saying, we can target using all of the different targeting mechanisms consumers are used to. We can optimize across KPIs, capture first-party data, and then access healthcare-specific inventory. So when we build a programmatic campaign for a pharma company, there are some retargeting that will just go to broad inventory across the ad exchanges for display, but generally you want to keep it pretty focused on the healthcare space, particularly when you're reaching healthcare professionals, but even in consumers. So the trading desk has allowed us to make display campaigns that can actually take that precise targeting that we all know and love as digital marketers, apply it to the healthcare space, do it in a compliant manner, and do it across brand safe, health related inventory. And then, of course, optimize and measure it back to actual KPIs. Here's an example, and I'll talk about this slide, and then I'll walk through 3 quick examples of specific publisher partners, just as a FYI, and that'll be the presentation. I think we're right at about 14 minutes, so this should work out great. So these are to break them out, these are the HCPs. The trading desk I was just talking about on the left side, so that's that ability to target explicitly one-to-one. Search, we all know about that. Tend to use much more technical terms with Google, but a search campaign is a search campaign. Lots and lots of direct partnerships. As I said, Medscape is the 800-pound gorilla in this field. Hippocrates is pretty similar. So you have to have really tight relationships with these guys because they really, between Google and these top guys, they dominate the audience. They are them. And then right to the right of them are the medical journals. That pretty much covers the landscape. That's where healthcare professionals are getting their information. And then, as I said, on the far side, there are places like Sermo and Doximity, which purport to be the healthcare social networks for healthcare professionals. Again, I've done some campaigns with them, and I see the value proposition. It's my personal, I'll just call it an opinion, is that there's just a lot of echo chamber there where you have paid thought leaders who are representing pharmas. They happen to be doctors. So just to show you 3 quick examples, and that'll be a wrap. So Medscape has really grown up from being just an online reference for doctors, where they have, and they've also done a really good job of reinventing themselves so that for the post-pandemic world, where everyone's trying to recreate the conference experience, but do it virtually. So they have lots of offerings that we partner with them on, which can deliver video content and what we call thought leader series, where the thought leader is the real top doc in any particular field, paid by the pharma to do it again, of course. So they're a real key for any campaign. Hippocrates, just wanted to touch on these for those who are less familiar with the pharma world. So this is the app that docs use on their iPhones. There are all kinds of ad units that you can deploy across it. And Hippocrates has gotten doctors used to these. They're not intrusive. They know their sponsored content. It tends to be very relevant. And again, Hippocrates is an app that's really used a lot down right near the point of prescribing. Like, I'm searching for information on a particular drug, and me as the advertiser, well, I can come and pop up my competitive message next to that particular drug. So really bottom of the funnel kind of stuff, which our clients love. And finally, a new entrant in the field. Actually, this is offered by Eth Healthcare Solutions by a fellow who I was at Great Healthcare Group back in the 90s. And so this is taking that target list we talked about, uploading it into this system, and running native ads against HCPs. So a capability that's been around for targeting consumers for decades is now actually coming to the healthcare professional space. So it is advertising content, copy written by the marketing team, put into a native advertising format to look like it's in-stream articles. And I see that I'm right at 17 and a half minutes, so I'm going to say thank you for your time. Hope this has been somewhat informative and helpful, and I will, if anyone's got any questions about the wild world of pharma marketing, I'm happy to chat.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Peter's obviously an expert in the space. It's a niche, but of course, it's about 16% of our economy. I mean, not pharma, but medical. Pharma. Yeah. I don't know what percentage pharma is, but I'm sure it's a chunk. So clearly, he's got an expertise in a niche but very important area. By the way, I'm recording this session, and what I will do is the showcase I will post if you approve, so that members who weren't able to make it can see the showcase, and of course everybody here in this group is invited to do just what Peter did, a showcase 10-15 minutes with Q&A on top of that. So any specific questions, feel free to add into the chat. Or just unmute yourself and fire away.
Yeah, I was just curious. I know your industry seems very specialized, but now a lot of agencies can buy across industries. And so some of the areas that you talked about, like it seems like you have a lot of knowledge about where to do the targeting, but what do you think differentiates your agency from some of the other larger shops that might have big contracts with some of the pharma clients?
Yeah, well, we do, as a small agency, we do tend to have the smaller, scrappier pharma companies. So one of the short answers to be able to have will be the lack of overhead that comes with a big media agency. They have very large minimums, and when you're fighting to maximize CPMs, you're not going to get the best deal at a WPP. And it is just specialty, just knowing how to navigate the specifics of reaching rare disease patients and HCPs. So yeah, it's a combination of agility, ability to downward pressure price, which everyone's sensitive to, and industry experience.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other questions? I don't think I saw anything in the chat. Unfortunately, Victor had to jump off. Audrey said, very interesting, Peter, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions on this particular topic? If not, we could just move on to everybody giving it, having, let's say we got 9 people, 3 minutes each, something like that, or 2 minutes each. We can just go around the table and introduce ourselves. And why don't we take 2 minutes, and I will go from top left. And of course, everybody's screen is a little different, but I will time, how about 2 minutes? Audrey, and then Elise, and then Mark. Does that work for
Hi,
you,
everybody.
Audrey?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just unmuting myself. Hi. Hi, I'm Audrey Glover-Dichter PL. I'm an attorney. I'm in South Florida, but it doesn't matter because my practice is a federal practice. I practice advertising, marketing, and promotions law, but that also includes IP clearances and attempt to try to avoid infringement and also privacy law issues. So I review campaigns. I would prefer to work with the creatives during the while the campaign is being put together to try to avoid wasted time and money, having to go back and fix things. Technically by law, FTC law, campaigns have to be legally compliant before you launch the campaign publicly. So I work with small and medium agencies, small and medium businesses, startups who can't afford to have in-house. So I'm their outside counsel for advertising, IP, and privacy law issues. And, unfortunately, they can't afford the big firms. So here I am trying to help them. And I try to help and guide them to try to avoid lawsuits for false advertising, IP infringement, and privacy law violations. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer questions and guide anybody who needs that guidance with the FDA craziness or FTC or anybody else. Audrey Glover-Dichter PL. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting everybody today. And thank you, Michael, for doing this.
Absolutely. Audrey, thank you so much. You know what we're going to do? I thought maybe what I'll do, and I should have done this right at the end of Peter's presentation. I'm going to do the two polls now. They're quick. Hold on, that was the timer. So I'm going to launch this poll real easy. First question, how much time should we allocate to the members for Showcase? Choices are 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah, so far I got 5 responses. I don't know, do you guys see these responses or no? I would have to share it. No. Okay. So far, let's see. Are there 5 people? Well, 6, there's 2 more people who didn't respond. I guess, Scott, you're on the phone, so you probably can't see this.
Yeah,
right.
I actually, I'm driving, but I actually just submitted it, so it should have come through.
Oh, really? Oh my God. All right. Yes, 7 people. All right.
There we go. Okay.
So 15 minutes. All right. So it's probably going to be better. 10 plus 5, 15 wins it. We had 6 people say 15 minutes, 1 person say 20 minutes. And then I can share the results. And then let's see, if I relaunch polling, let's see, no, cancel that. I want to do the other poll. Let's see if I get my other poll. I don't see the other poll. The other poll was what we think of the presentation. That's an anonymous poll, supposedly. I can't find it. All right, I'll have to learn more about how this thing works. Let's go on. Elise, 2 minutes. Tell us about what you do, what are good leads, and how you can help people.
Sure, it's my pleasure. First of all, Michael, thank you for putting this together, and it's lovely to meet all of you. My name's Elise Saul, and I spent 15 years in professional sports, and then the last 10 years on the tech side of digital media, advertising technology, and now mostly sports startup technology. So I run a consultancy that focuses on both digital media technology and sports technology. And what I do on the sports side is I work with properties that need to find ways to address their pain points in digital transformation, and I connect them to sports technologies that are doing just that. Most of the sports technologies are born out of something related to digital media, whether it's analytics or performance technology or how to get a brand, which in the world of sports operates as a sponsor, to act more like an advertiser, because obviously digital media brands prefer digital media because they know how to target their advertising, and they get a very high ROI. And in the world of sports, where it's always been brands operating as sponsors, they have no idea how their ROI is properly measured. So I straddle kind of those two worlds. And so I do a lot of work with sports properties who are looking for answers about how they can access their consumers and how they can generate more return on investment through technology. I work with technology startups who are trying to find their way into sports and the health and wellness and fitness world. And I also work with brands who are trying to identify what is the best way for them to get into the world of sports. So, and I also, I invest in startups, and I lead the sports sector for the Harvard Business School Alumni Angels. When deal flow is coming in, I help them discern which ones they should take a look at. And I'm also a board member of WIST, which is Women in Sports Technology. So we're always trying to, what we call change the ratio, bring women and people of color, give them a seat at the table, and generate more awareness about their engagement. Because one of the reasons why networking is so important to me is I learn from people who are cut of a different cloth. If everybody on this screen did the same thing I did, there wouldn't be all that much value, because everybody really understands what they're doing. But I learn more from people who don't necessarily do what I do, but I learn how you do it and where things become successful. And that's what I believe is the true value of networking. So what I've learned in my space hopefully can be applied to what you were all doing in yours.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, so Mark, then Tina, then Patrick. Mark, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Hi, good. I'm Mark, and what I do is basically market trending. So what does that mean? It means that I work for a lot of private equity groups. I work for some investment banks and some private clients, and basically I look at trends. And we mine the web, we do a lot of quantitative stuff. So I do marketing analytics, web analytics, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that I find is that most of the folks today really don't understand the qualitative side. So I'm also actually a pretty darn good interviewer. And that often brings a whole bunch of texture to the data. And I think that personally, that's very important. The other thing I do a fair amount of is along the customer journey. I do positioning, I do customer experience, user experience, CRM. And I started that at Lowe's, where I was on the omni-channel team. I worked with a lot of the wonderful technology groups, and so in response to that, I learned a lot there, and I know a fair amount about CRM and CX, and that pretty much is me.
Thank you. You said Lowe's. That's Lowe's, the hardware company?
Yeah, Lowe's, the company in Mooresville. Spent almost 10 years there.
Wonderful. And what kind of leads are good for you?
Well, leads that are good for me are companies that are struggling. They perhaps have a great product, but they really don't understand their positioning, and they really don't understand where to go. So that's often where a lot of it starts. A lot of people do branding, but really you can't do branding well without knowing your positioning.
And you're based in?
I'm in South Florida.
South Florida. Wonderful. Great. Actually,
Beautiful
Tina's there as well.
Where in
Boca
South
Raton.
Florida? Oh, Boca. Okay, I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was going to say, this is quite a surprise. I generally split my time between New York and Miami. I was moved down to Miami in 2012 to run e-com for celebrities.
Whoops,
Moved
you're
back
cutting
to
out.
Europe, but then I managed to fall into a consultancy. So is that okay? Can you hear?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can. I'm going to start your time.
So I'm used to being, I'm used to being the only kind of non-New Yorker on a lot of these Zoom calls. So look at us, 3 of us here. But anyway, yeah, I spent the first, I don't know, 5-10 years of my career in product management, product development, mostly in consumer-facing companies, from e-com at Amazon to Weight Watchers subscription into media. Moved down to Miami to work more back into e-com. And then my consulting practice, which I started sort of organically, just by good luck, I suppose, 4 years ago, kicked off working in digital transformation. So I worked with IBM and putting together their programs to do all the kind of more, how do we transition from field sales into more, digital marketing, digital acquisition tools. So I've been able to evolve from the product to the marketing, and now I do a bit of a blend. And I'm brought in to work with organizations that need help to launch a new product, or else they've launched something like, for example, American Kennel Club said, hey, we have this new Shopify store. We need to make more money because it's not really meeting projections. So looking at scaling platforms, looking at things like worked with Estee Lauder Travel Retail on ways they're trying to grow a new platform of how to do more online to offline targeting in terms of driving sales. So it's been a wide variety of things. I worked with Miami Heat actually on a small project on customer journeys, how to prepare as I looked for a marketing automation platform. So it's been a bit of a blend. I see it all very integrated and more of a systems-based thinker. I'm not the classic McKinsey strategist, but I help companies figure out how to put everything together to grow their businesses digitally. And I guess I would just say for leads, I mean, I'm glad I think Alyssa, you mentioned the networking in the time of COVID. So Michael, yes, definitely thanks for setting this up, because usually I go up to New York, I meet people for coffee, and that's how I find new business. I had a project wrap up right at the end of February. And then all of a sudden, all my leads dried up just transparently. So it's been kind of like small potatoes around here. So thanks. In terms of what I'm looking for, it's really looking for companies that don't have the in-house expertise to scale a new platform, looking at marketing efficiency, how to figure out how to launch a new product. So pretty broad, but I can share my sales deck if folks would like some more case studies.
Thank you very much, Tina. So yeah, we look like we have 3 people down in Florida. The rest of us are in, the rest of us
Too
are
bad for COVID. I'd love to have coffee with you guys.
Sure, that'd be terrific.
All right, so the next 3 up in this order: Patrick, James, Scott, and then I'll go at the end. So Patrick, why don't you do a quick intro? Got 2 minutes.
Hi, everybody. I'm in New York City, but it certainly feels like Florida these days, that's for sure. I can tell you that much. Yeah, it's... So I'm Patrick Sasso. The company's Loop 7. We're a production company, mainly video, but we're multimedia. We work with agencies and brand marketing departments to produce commercial advertising, social media content, video, photography, and music. We generally will take a project from concept to scripting to post-production, anything in between. It really depends on the agency or the marketing arm and how much they do and how much they want to do. So we're sort of brought in wherever they feel like they need us. We also work a lot with pharma conferences that Peter spoke about, and that's a lot of our business actually, and yeah, that's all gone. But and we would be on site at those conferences producing content, social media content. We work with the doctors and the scientists at those conferences to summarize their research for non-attendees, and some of the companies we work for will actually not monetize it, but in some ways monetize it, because they bring extra value to the conferences that they put together. But we're very brand and story conscious, and we work with different budgets, different size companies, and we try to partner and understand the business so that we can better tell the story. And I guess that's really it. Our best leads are small ad agencies, somewhere around the, up to 10 million mark, where they're, close to their customer. and marketing, heads of marketing, marketing managers, and brands like that. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And Patrick is also a member of another networking group that I started that's just a New York networking group. And he's our video expert in that space. It's a non-competing group, which I might encourage, you guys in Florida to do something like that. I don't know. I mean, Florida's a big state, so you guys may be far apart. Boca, Miami, I don't know, but whatever. Something to consider. I'm happy to help out if I can. All right, James, you are up. You're on mute, so you can unmute, and you got 2 minutes.
Is my audio okay?
Perfect.
Now, there's no echo or anything? Okay, great. James Heaton, I have a boutique brand strategy and management consulting firm. We're about 10 people. We believe that you have to have not only a differentiated market position, but you also have to back that up with operational practice. So that's the connection between brand strategy and management consulting. The espousal through your brand needs to be backed up behaviorally and operationally within an organization. So tying those two together, which most branding agencies don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, is kind of our specialty. This means we're not, for the most part, doing this with enterprise clients, although we do have occasional enterprise clients. We're mostly operating in nonprofit healthcare, financial services, and the cultural sector. And our sweet spot in terms of the size of the businesses that we help is between 100 and 1,000 employees. We have some outliers that are above 10,000 employees, but those are not our kind of normal client type. So the sign, and the other aspect of our work that I think is perhaps somewhat different than others in this group is that most of our history is with legacy organizations that have been around more than 15 years, typically 50, 100, 150 years, who are realizing that they have to come to terms with today and need help both on how they present themselves and how they operationalize that presentation. So again, James Heaton, Tronvig, Brand Strategy and Management Consulting.
Thank you, James. And James and I met a number of years ago when his offices were in the Navy Yard. And
yes.
I remember you're taking me through the example of work you did with, was it the Brooklyn Zoo or the Bronx Zoo? One of the big zoos locally, or Chicago Zoo?
Yeah, Chicago, one of the, the Lincoln Park Zoo, yeah.
Lincoln Park Zoo, okay. Didn't remember exactly which zoo, but wonderful. Okay, Scott. Oh, Scott, you're driving. Careful now.
No, it's okay.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks for having me, Michael. Really appreciate it. James Heaton, great to see you. We'll have to get together. I'm pretty close with Vincent Furtado these days. So nevertheless,
nice.
Scott, yeah, it's awesome. Great guy. Scott Shashansky, work for the Juris Influence Group. We are a full service printer in Long Island City. So we produce all types of materials, from catalogs to brochures to direct mail to pocket folders to poster boards to point of purchase type material. Just to walk through a couple of jobs we're working on now, and some of the clients we have. We do a lot of work in the automotive industry for Ferrari, Maserati, Porsche. Working on a big direct mail project right now for Porsche, just going after all their prospects with a big call action to try to trade in their car and buy the car online. So it's a lot of online purchasing of everything these days, including Porsche. So it's kind of very interesting. Doing a big promotion for Revlon. So for Revlon, we do all the point of purchase type material for them. So everything on the display, on the makeup displays in the store, we do that printing for the whole country. So we do a lot in real estate as well for both the commercial and the residential markets, again, from direct mail to any collateral and proposals and presentations they might need for certain developments. A lot of what we've been doing lately is COVID-19 signage. We're helping a lot of companies get back to work with our COVID-19 signage. We have a huge catalog of designs. So we're helping just small to medium-sized businesses in their offices. We're helping schools. We're helping parks. We're helping city different aspects of the government and the city, in outside and inside corridors. So we've been doing a lot of that type of work. So the people I want to meet, I'd love to meet marketing managers, CMOs, graphic designers, agencies. But when it comes to the COVID-19 signage, I really want to talk to facilities people, which I've never really dealt with before, but facilities people are obviously in charge of buying a lot of this new signage. So thank you very much. And great to meet everybody. Seems like a great crew here.
Thank you, Scott. And I'm glad you made it through. I see you're stopped right now, so drive safely. And Scott also has he and a partner launched a business that is a very unique marketing automation tool, specifically designed. It's really a combination digital asset management and marketing automation tool. So we're seeing if that might be a good fit to represent as a group. One of the 5 or 6 companies. So we had a first conversation, and we'll have a follow-up conversation perhaps later this week or next week. I did find out how to do the other poll, so I'm going to try that before I do mine. Let me see. So rate the showcase presentation, okay? On a scale of 1 to 5, go for it. That was the showcase presentation that Peter gave. Okay, 3, 6, I guess we got 7, wonderful. Okay, and it's anonymous, but let's see, can I share this? It looks like we got probably, on average, so to speak, it's good. So 2 average, 3 good, and 2 excellent. Thank you for that, and I could pass that back along to Peter. Okay, so here's the results. I'll share those results. As I said, 2, 3, and 2. And I will stop sharing the results. We learn as we go. Okay, wonderful. I'll give myself 2 minutes. So my name is Michael Bendit. My company, other than what I'm doing here with Trusted Referral Network, is I run a business called Software Development Resources, where I am a one-person show, but I do sales representation for about 10 different software development teams. And these teams do most of their work is project-based work, so it's fixed price, fixed scope work. We do some work with resources, providing resources on a time and materials basis. And then the 2 focuses, or foci, are marketing, which is why I do a lot of networking in the marketing world, and then startups. We do a lot of work with building the first application of a startup, or sometimes taking over from another team or a freelancer. Oftentimes people will start with a freelancer, but then, that either the freelancer runs out of capacity or they just run away, they go skiing somewhere. And they're hard to keep tabs on, and the startup needs a team, a real professional team. Best leads for me are actually marketing agencies. And we do a lot of work supporting digital marketing agencies, small digital marketing agencies that sometimes have programmers on staff, but they might run out of resources, or they might not have the right resources for a job that comes their way. A good example is I just spoke to somebody who has a digital marketing agency, and they do a fair amount of work in WordPress, and they do all that in-house, but they had an opportunity for Magento, which is a complex e-commerce, a very popular e-commerce site, platform owned by Adobe. But it's much more complex. And if you don't have the skill set and the knowledge, you really do need to bring a team on that does. So it's Michael Bendit and Software Development Resources. Happy to answer any sort of technical questions folks have about software development if I can, across the broad range of, content management, e-commerce, mobile, and all the sort of specialty areas. We have, I think, just a few more minutes. If folks want to just unmute and either provide feedback or, comment on anything, if the top of the hour is in 3 minutes. Floor is open since there's only 8 of us.
How's New York?
I was just going to say, it's nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pleasure to meet
really
everybody.
nice to meet everybody.
Yep.
Apparently New York is hot. I'm up in Connecticut where it's also hot.
Very, very hot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm in New Jersey and it's extremely hot. I don't go outside until 8 o'clock at night.
Well, that sounds like Florida for July,
right?
August, September, and some of June sometimes.
Yeah. It's been
The
on the
only
80s
thing
and
that-
90s.
The only thing that they seem to be missing up north is those torrential rains that we get on a daily basis in Florida during the summer.
Yes.
Other than that, we seem to share the same weather: hot, humid,
Certainly in
muggy.
the summer. Yeah.
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 We have better beaches, though.
Much well. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
was
true.
going to say, I find them pretty decidedly different. I try to stay away from Florida during the summers. And then I went up and I just rented a place in Brooklyn. I thought, oh, why stay here? It was so disgusting and hot. But it is true, you can just run to the beach and you don't have to go from like this hyper air conditioned subway to like the sweaty sidewalk. So it's pretty miserable here, but we do have some perks, I guess.
Yeah,
Great.
the
Well, listen,
beaches here are awesome. Unfortunately, they're still closed.
everybody, everybody stay safe, and stay away from COVID. If you have any questions about also the products that we're representing, if you need, oops, somebody's got, if you
Me
need any more,
again. Sorry, he's on the
That's
phone
all right.
again.
all right. If you do need more information about any of the 2 products that we're working on or representing, please reach out to me. If you have any leads, certainly would love to chat with you. Thank you all for joining. The next meeting is going to be Tuesday. We alternate Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The next meeting is going to be Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll be sending out an invite, and you also should have the link. If you don't have the link to signing up to be the showcase, just ping me and I'll send it to you. But it should be either in your email or the Slack workspace.
Great.
So thank you all,
Nice to meet
and
you.
hopefully
Yes,
we'll
nice to
we'll
meet
see you again
everybody.
soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.